Not all of us are good for transmitting a point, nor know how to do it. Each one has different ways of expressing himself, and therefore the way in which said poem is received varies. In 1936, the speaker, poet, writer, and essayist Octavio Paz reaches the summit when he was recognized with the Nobel Prize for Literature for his multiple literary works that referred to love and poetic penalties and in political studies, where he expressed his feels with reference to the subject to declare. Octavio Paz, Mexican writer, poet, essayist, and speaker, who focused on the existential meaning of the poetry and his belief in the poetic essence of man and history. Octavio Paz was born in March 31st, 1914, in a town very close to Mexico City. He came from the Spanish and Indians roots, and his father, who worked with Emiliano Zapata, this leader of the Mexican Revolution, had the grateful economic position and with a lot of political influence. That is why Paz see the existence of a link between models and poetry like a big thing. The protection afforded to marriage could be justified if society truly allowed choice. Since it does not, it must be accepted that marriage does not constitute the highest fulfillment of love, but it is a legal, social, and economic form that has purpose and other than those of love. In this quote, we can see how he described the way in which society observes marriage according to love, how in general it is point of view from social thought, and that this lead a metaphorical description of love. A society possessed by the frenzies of producing more in order to consume more tends to turn ideas, feelings, art, love, friendship, and the people themselves into objects of consumption. In a very low moral way, it describes everything related to love in an empty concept such as marketing to have a better sales. He exposed a lot of his speech or poems how love is devalued in sentimental terms. The interaction between politics and philosophy and how politics influence society without the latest notices it is directly. His brutal confidence towards a good political relationship brought him to a point where he could not separate reality and falsehood for a more positive word. His negligence to try to have more stable division between his love for politics and his passion for philosophy. He cannot preserve hymns as he cannot combine his two passions into a total. Having that story while growing up and living the day to day between politics and love, plus the support of his parents to follow his passion, was what made him worthy of the Nobel Prize for Literature, and with this be recognized as one of the greatest at the time to speak to public and go beyond the parameters. Growing between politics plus his social interest in his passion for poetry, it was that led him to be one of the best, if not the best, of the speakers and essayists who dominate public speakings with the greatest ease and dedication. a poem from him. Liberty underworld. The leaves sing, the peer dance in the peer's tree. Turn the rose of the wind, not of the rose bush. Cloud and cloud, they float asleep. Agile from the air, all the space rotate with them, never in strife. Everything is a space. The poppy rose, bright, and the nude flies in the wind in the back of the wave. Nothing is me body than flood, light, and waves. Everything is from the wind, and the wind is air always traveling.